Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Change Podcast. This is Insights to Empowerment. And we have a very special guest today, and I cannot wait to hear about some of the things he has been doing. He is an author, he is a speaker, he has a master's degree in communication. He organizes and oh gosh, I can't even read that. I'm sorry. I can't read my own writing. It's Monday, forgive me. But something that he has developed is called the integrity game. And that's what I want him to talk about today because I've read up on this a little bit. First of all, integrity is very high on my list and I want to hear all about it. So let's welcome Jeffrey Klubeck. How are you doing today?
Oh, I'm doing great. How are you, Nicole?
You know what? I'm really, really good. And integrity to me means a lot in myself and in others. So I'm very picky about, I can always tell when someone's maybe not being truthful or something. So tell us, how did you get the idea for the integrity game?
Well, first of all, one of the things that I'd like to start off with is Kluby snacks, right? My last name is Klubeck, and so my motivational quotes are Kluby snacks, right? So
Like Scooby?
Yeah, I'm kind of borrowing the marketing a little bit, but it's not too far from home. Kluby snacks, right? Because here's the deal: what we're going to talk about, Nicole, when we're talking about integrity, and you're like, "Oh, I can tell when people aren't being honest." I'm going to pin that on the board. We're going to come back to that. A lot of times when we think of integrity, we are thinking of it when we see other people out of it. So integrity becomes like parenting or driving, right? We all think we're great, but everybody else sucks. So don't shoot the messenger, right? But back to Kluby snacks, they're my motivational quotes. So the one that I'd like to offer to start is everything is multi-determined. In response to your question, how did this come about? It's not just one thing. There wasn't just one trigger. It's a collection of the integrity game is almost like an icon of what I had done in my career leading up. So integrity is born in the land of accountability, right? The brand promise for the integrity game is we want to make accountability less threatening, right? We all know that accountability is always going to feel like an attack until we're ready to be 100% responsible for our own behavior. Now, imagine with me, if you will, Nicole, right? Before you started recording, we had a really good chat. Imagine with me what this world would look like if accountability were just a little bit less threatening.
Oh, yeah. That makes a lot of sense because a lot of people will avoid it like the plague. If you say even one, it can come from your heart, but they're still going to take it personally. So how do you make it less threatening?
Well, first of all, you call it integrity instead of accountability because everybody raises their hand. How many of you, if I'm doing public speaking on this, and I get into a room, 50, 100, 500 people, whatever, how many of you believe you have integrity? I get 100% of the room raises their hand.
Yeah.
Right, but then I get to say, well, hang on, wait. All right, raise your right hand and repeat after me. I do solemnly swear not to shoot the messenger in 45 minutes, right? Depending on how long the keynote is. So the idea is this. There's a couple of ideas. Number one, it's multi-determined. It's born in the land of accountability. Now, I don't say that integrity game will eliminate the threatening nature. I don't say it'll make it non-threatening because as a master of communication, I know that we are all equipped with ego defense, right? Emotional fight or flight. So if I heard a buzz by my ear, I wouldn't stop to think, is it a bee or is it a fly before I swat and duck? I'll just swat and duck instinctually, even if it's a fly instead of a bee. So to your point, I love what you just said. Even when accountability comes from the heart, people still take it personally. It's called ego defense. It's emotional fight or flight. So anything that's inconsistent with our current sense of self is going to trigger an ego fight or flight, an ego defensive response. True. So one of the things that I don't know if you asked this, but one of the things that's really, 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 really required when we are wanting to hold people accountable, introduce accountability, get people to pay more attention to accountability, whatever level of intensity it's being offered, is we really need permission from the other person, right? Accountability is not punishment. Right. Accountability usually might have some positive or negative consequence, right? And so how do we start to make it more receivable? How do we start to get people how do we create a willingness to be counted?
Interesting.
You're right. It's different than our common notion of integrity, right? I got another thought expansion piece, but you understand, the easy part of integrity is they're out of integrity. They're not being honest. They're not being honest. They didn't do what they said they were going to do. They're not being their word. They did this thing when somebody is watching, but they did something else when nobody is watching. Like there's these typical understandings of and when I'm doing, I get this all over. Whenever I'm doing the integrity game keynote, when I ask, what is it? Right? Because that's how it goes. How many of you believe in have integrity? Everybody raises their hand. If I said, how many of you have an external objective accountability source? It'd be crickets. Okay. Yeah, so I say, right? So Trojan horse, the integrity game is a Trojan horse to get people into the accountability conversation. How many of you believe you have integrity? Everybody wants to be associated with integrity.
Absolutely.
We judge ourselves by intent, but the rest of the world, as you know, is judging behavior. Okay. Go ahead.
No, I was going to say, I want to go back to one thing, and you spoke of as ego.
Mm-hmm.
How do you eradicate ego from self to maybe make that more acceptable or downgrade the ego on someone? Is that even possible?
No, you don't. Great. You answered your own question. You don't eradicate ego. Ego is ever present. Ego is simply our current sense of self.
Okay.
That's it.
It's
not arrogance. It's not, it's not arrogance. It's our sense of self.
I always categorized it as, I always thought ego was emotional growth obstacle.
Okay, well, ego defense is, right? Ego defense is automatic fight, defense. How do you defend anything? You either attack what the threat is or you run from the threat. You could play dead. Some people say there's a third option. That's fine. But I'm not here to play dead. I'm not here to, you know what I mean? We play life. But my point is, right? So the idea, I'll slow down. Have you ever walked face first into a spider web?
Oh, yeah. I hated it.
And you start like slapping your face, and you go to a water source and you wash your hands, and I like wipe like a wet paper towel to make sure there's no remnants of web. I don't want a dangling spider anywhere. And I'm pretty confident logically that this spider is gone. Like there's no spider threatening me. It could be 10 minutes after the fact. But then I go inside and the air conditioning blows one of my hairs onto my ear and I'm slapping my ear, looking around for right? Do you understand? So what I'm getting at is we are hardwired to defend ourselves. We are hardwired to protect ourselves. And it's not just in the face of physical danger. It's often in the face of emotional danger. Right? And what is emotional danger right now? Well, anything other than my sense of self. I mean, you look at the media this morning after the Super Bowl, and anything other than our sense of self is being criticized, right? On one side or the other. Red and blue, two wings of the same bird, in my opinion. But I think you understand what I'm getting at, right?
Absolutely.
So the idea is anything that contradicts our sense of self will provoke an ego defensive reaction. So the integrity game is here to lengthen our fuse before we're provoked into needlessly defending our current sense of self. The integrity game is here to expand our sense of self. The integrity game is here to make it fun and easy to look within so that we're not triggered by what other people do because we're too invested in what we need to do for ourselves. We need structural integrity in our own lives, right? And so there's more thought leadership on this, right? When I asked the question at the beginning of the keynote, how many of you believe you have integrity? Everybody raises their hand and I get to make the joke. Okay, well, don't shoot the messenger or the keynote speaker in 45 minutes. And then ha. And it's like, wait a second. Did he just insult us? Did he just suggest that we don't have integrity? And slow down.
Everybody stop. Think about it.
Hang on. I want good ratings. I want to be invited back next year. Let's make sure we're talking about the same thing. What is it? And this is in the keynote. If any of your audience want the Integrity Game keynote to come virtually or in person to their event, their group, their team, what have you, I will invite the audience to share with me what they feel integrity means. What is integrity? What is it? And that's where I always get the two answers that I play from, that the keynote goes from there. But I let it happen organically in the room. What is it? I know it's going to happen because I've done this 1,000 times. Somebody in the room will say, be your word, do what you say you're going to do. And everybody go, yeah. And I'm like, okay, they took your answer. All right, I'm sorry. And then somebody else will say, well, do the same thing when nobody's watching as you would when somebody's watching. Right? But both of those answers they create I call it the angry mob, like, yeah. And it's like, oh my God, you all raised your hands. You all have integrity, but apparently you all have experience with the rest of the world that doesn't. I got to buy a lotto ticket tonight because 100% of this room has integrity, but 100% of this room seems to be acutely aware of how much it's lacking outside of this room. And I start to creep the mirror. The mirror starts to come up, right? And so what I love about be your word and do the right thing regardless of who's watching, there's two things that we love about that, Nicole. Number one, we integrate. When we do what we said we are going to do, we integrate our word with our behavior. There's a coming together of word and behavior. Not good or bad, not right or wrong, not clean or dirty, not civil or savage, not honest or dishonest, not saintly or demonic, just together or not together.
Okay.
When we do the right thing, regardless of who's watching, another integration occurs. We are integrating behavior with values, morals, or ethics. So in both answers, be your word and do the right thing regardless of who's watching, there is a coming together of two or more things. So you follow integration. Mm-hmm. But despite the fact that they start with the same 6 letters, INTEGR, right? When I ask what is integrity, nobody offers the concept of integration. Nobody focuses on the objective, judgment-free, together or not together. Open or closed, up or down, no other story, drama, ego defense. You follow? Mm-hmm. When we bring the reality into somebody's awareness, then that triggers the ego defense. Now we're not just talking about the togetherness, the integration or disintegration. We're talking about story and defense. All this other stuff happens, smoke and mirrors, right? So I like that I get to focus on integration as a concept of integrity. We're going to put the integration back in integrity, right? And then the other thing too is that behavior shows up in both equations, doesn't it? Word with behavior and behavior with values. So that's where I get to stop the audience and say, guess what? We judge ourselves by intent. The world's judging behavior. So behavior is the evidence of our integrity, not I was going to, or I was just trying to, or I thought you wanted me to. I mean, God bless my wife. Thank God for my wife, but we have this conversation. I was just trying to help. Okay, that's judging yourself. But for me, I needed to hear my own thoughts, and I would have liked to have resolved this on my own. I would like, you understand, these become the conversations. So people judge themselves by their intent. We can always let ourselves off the hook. But the world's judging our behavior, our actions. And so there's a separation there. Now, what we don't like about these two answers is that I could just say I'll sleep on the couch for 24 hours a day. And then if I slept on the couch 24 hours a day, I will have been my word and I can claim integrity, right? Wrong. You follow? And then sometimes our morals, values, or ethics are a moving target. Sometimes like never lie, always be honest, unless we want to put an elf on a shelf for 26 days. It's into good behavior, right? So should I be honest? Should I be diplomatic? What's the difference between honesty and diplomacy? You know, like in other words, it's a moving target, right? It's context specific, right? Like sometimes time is money, but sometimes patience is a virtue.
Right.
Sometimes if you don't give up, you never lose. As long as you don't quit, you don't lose. And sometimes you better know when to cut your losses. So we've got all these success principles floating around. Many of them contradict each other. And what we're doing is we're sitting in judgment of other people without paying attention to their context, their self-talk, and their declarations of who they are and what they want. So the integrity game wants to make it very easy for you to declare who I am and what I want. And now you get to have integrity with those declarations rather than the rest of the world's judgments.
Wow. So you're very high on integrity, obviously. Have you been all your life, or did you do something that was out of integrity and you're like, oh crap, I need to fix that. I'm gonna
like every day. Like,
okay.
Yeah. I wrote the integrity game not because I'm a guru on integrity, you know what I mean? Not because I'm the expert. I wrote it because I wanted more in my life. Mm-hmm. Right. I wrote it also, to be honest with you, I'd spent some time in the seminar industry. I was like Coach Jeffery going around the world. I had all these different assignments in the seminar industry. So people go to the seminars and they pay a lot of money for coaching and programs and retreats and masterminds and all this stuff. And some of it has the quality and some of it's junk, right? Mm-hmm. And maybe more into 2, 3, 4 years into the seminar industry, I was going around the world, Coach Jeffery. I had assignments in 14 countries. And, you know, it was great. Like I would show up to people's assignments. I would show up to the location and I'd say, all right, I'm your coach. We got 2 days together. I got to get you ready for your 15 minutes on stage. What are you going to be speaking about? And they'd be like, well, that's what you're for. I'm like, wait, you invested $25,000 to be on stage for 15 minutes for your fame, to promote your brand, and you don't even know what you're talking about? Yeah, I thought I'd lost my money. I haven't even told my spouse about this yet. I'm like, oh no, now I got to save your marriage and your $25,000 and make you shine on
Woo.
stage. All right, roll up your sleeves. So there was a
Uh,
lot of people that were afraid that in the moment they had lost the money. They invested in what, they were promised coaching, didn't get the coaching. So Coach Jeffrey would show up and I would give legitimate, credible, real deal coaching to people, which would surprise. But I didn't want to be associated with some of the icky stuff I saw in the industry. So that was another reason I wrote The Integrity Game. I had lost my parents 3 weeks apart during pre-vax COVID. So I delivered the Integrity Game keynote a month before. And that's really a genesis story. Like I was delivering a virtual keynote for the Specialty Advertising Association of California. I gave them a list of topics, like all the usual suspects, time management and goal setting and, all the usual stuff. And I threw the integrity game in there just to make the list look better. And they chose the integrity game. I'm like, all right, now I got to develop this.
Okay, what do I do now?
Yeah. Anyway, so so everything I've been doing in my career around accountability, the concept of integrity, my soul searching over my parents, reinventing myself coming out of the seminar industry and COVID and no more travel. So what are we going to do? And I had the opportunity to sit down and really deliver a great keynote. But then as the 10-point model emerged, I'm like, oh, this is a book. I'm like, oh, this is a brand. Like, oh, this is a really good brand. This is better than what I had been doing before. Wait, I can deliver all of my services through Integrity Game 10-point model. And here we are a couple of years later.
Wow. And when I saw the Integrity Game, my first thought to me is a board game. Something you play with little pieces and you all sit around and like see who the liar is or something like that.
Well, I'll tell you what, see who the liar is. You don't need a game for that, do you?
No.
Okay.
No,
that's
you have to
number
look
one.
right and left.
Yeah, you can't hide your broccoli in a glass of milk, Nicole.
True.
Right, especially when any human being with any wherewithal at all is doing the dishes, right? Again, we judge, the story sounds good in our head and then it comes out. And anyway, it's better to it's hard. So back to your question, it's a trick question at the keynote. How many of you believe you have integrity? Everybody raises their hand, but it's a trick question. Here's the truth and here's the Klubeck snack. Are you ready? When it comes to integrity, we all have some, but we all need more.
Yeah,
we all need more. It's
yeah,
not a binary. It's
now,
not.
This is quite a time in our lives, isn't it? Very different from anything I've ever experienced.
Well, and so 10 years from now, 20 years from now, 30 years from now, we're going to have to ask the question, what did we do during these times?
And what kind of answers are there going to be? I can't.
Well, I know what my answer is. I played the integrity game.
Yeah.
I played the integrity game. I was I played it. I was an evangelist for integrity. I went on podcasts. I went on stages. I had integrity on the tip of my tongue everywhere I go. I'm inviting people to look within. I'll tell jokes. I'll tell dad jokes. I'll be silly. I'll be tongue in cheek. I'll talk about my life, my family. I'll wear it on my sleeve. I'll admit my failures in the effort to increase the vibration of the world's integrity by any degree I can. I want to make it easy and fun to look within, and it's apolitical. It's not a political jam, right? It's so. Yeah, there you go. I mean, and I've been on podcasts too, where people have talked about, leaders of the free world, and that guy has no integrity. Well, I could argue nobody on the planet has more. If we talk about integrity from the perspective of know who you are, know what you want, and make sure 100% of your decisions and behaviors are integrated with who you are and what you want, and who more than the leader of the free world does that? Now, that doesn't mean we like it or agree or what have you, right? And I'm not saying if I do or not. But from this notion that I'm trying to share with you about integrity, it's an inside job. It's not for us to decide what other people's integrity is.
True.
Right. True. And even if so, we need permission. Like, hey, you said you were going, just last night with my wife, I went and I saw the Brussels sprouts in the fridge. I'm like, oh, they've been there for a while. Let me pull them out of there and let me heat up some Brussels sprouts. So I walk into the house. She's like, hey, I have a recipe for those. And I'm thinking to myself, what does that mean? Does that mean don't mess with those because I want to cook them because I have a recipe for those? I'm like, okay, well, they were in the fridge for a little while. I just thought I would make them. Well, I have a recipe for those, and I can speak my wife's language. I know what that means. She's like, don't mess with the Brussels sprouts. I'm going to cook them. Okay, well now I think, well, do I have permission to ask her about it? So I put the Brussels sprouts down. Minutes go by. I put the Brussels sprouts in the fridge. Hours go by. I was going to make them 3 hours ago and enjoy them during the Super Bowl, but no. You understand, this is silliness, but it shows up everywhere. And so finally I asked my wife, when were you planning on making the Brussels sprouts? Very simple.
Yeah.
Oh, well, I guess I could make them now. And again, it doesn't answer my question. No, you saw the Brussels sprouts. You immediately didn't want me to make them. And now I'm asking you when you're planning on making them, because if you don't have a plan on when you're going to make them, they're going to continue to sit in the fridge and they're going to rot. And so
Yeah.
now I'm holding you accountable to this declaration that you had. And it's these subtle ways that it shows up. It is very loving, very kind. And so she understood what I was communicating, and she got up and she made the Brussels sprouts. So I held her accountable to being her word on the Brussels sprouts. You follow?
Now, I have a question for you.
Yeah.
Who eats Brussels sprouts on Super Bowl Sunday?
I do. If we make them, we eat them. My son did. Brussels. We like Brussels sprouts.
I love them, but when you think of Super Bowl Sunday, you don't equate it with Brussels
You got to have something that's got some health component in there. A little balance,
Fritos, Cheetos, Doritos, beer, but I've never heard Brussels sprouts. So congratulations, that's a fun.
We had chips and hummus. Get some guacamole. There was chips everywhere. There's always chips everywhere. But we had some wings, and it was no alcohol for us yesterday.
Yeah. I've taken that out of my life anyway, because it's that can compromise integrity.
Well, yeah, absolutely. When you look at see, that's the other thing too. I back to like how I was breaking it down. I get these two answers, so I end up telling people, these two answers are good, but they're not enough. So that's why I created a 10-point model, and the 10 points they come into question sets. What's our purpose? What are our gifts? What's our potential? What are our goals that we're setting? What are our strategies, tactics, and resources? What words are we using, and what's our relationship to our word? And I can keep going down the line. It's a 10-point model. And so what the integrity game does is invite you to answer these questions for yourself. And once you have these answers, then you hold yourself accountable to your answers, right? You could share your answers with other people, and now you're empowered yes or empowered no. Hey, guess what? Thank you for that invitation. Here's the integrity game I'm playing. Once I make some progress here, I might open up to be a pawn in your game, but no offense, you want me to win my game, right? So these are the things that I'm working on right now, and what you've offered to me does not integrate. So a lot of people are being blown around like the feather in the wind, not knowing what to say yes or no to, because they haven't made decisions for themselves about the life, business, career, community they really want. So the integrity game is heavy. It forces us, or invites us, not force us, but it invites us to look within and declare purpose. What's our purpose? What are our gifts and competitive advantages? What's our mindset around giving and receiving? What's our vision? What's our mission? What are our annual objectives? And then what do we need to achieve in the next 4 quarters in order to achieve our annual objectives on the way to mission? So it gets tactical, it gets practical, it gets applicable, it gets actionable. You follow? But in the keynote, it's thought leadership to bust through this judgmental vibration that everybody has when we're using the word integrity. We're using it to judge everybody else, which makes us feel better about ourselves, but only for a little bit. We'll never feel better about ourselves until we have structural integrity to withstand the pressure tests in our lives.
It's an inside game. Yeah.
Every job is an inside job, right? You got it.
Yeah. And so how has this amazing concept that you put together, how has it changed your life?
Well, I'm on my toes. I'm better in my micro decisions, right? It's like I've got more pressure on myself. Like I wrote the integrity game. So now integrity is always on the line for me, more so than it ever was before. And that's something I don't always win. You understand? Like, I'm a good person, but I'm a human being. And so that's important. We all have some, we all need more. But it's increased my speaking gigs, the way I communicate my products and services. I deliver them through the integrity game model. It's better. I've written, I wrote the book, The Integrity Game, #1 bestseller, and because of the model, the integrity game, because it's a 10-point model, it's something that now I can offer to other co-authors. So we've got my first surrogate project was called Uncommitted. It's a college baseball recruiting coordinator who ended up actually helping my son when my son was getting his baseball scholarship. And we became good friends, talked about the concept of the integrity game. He had me speak in his day job business, Xerox sales team, delivered the integrity game. But we co-authored a book called Uncommitted, which is basically using my integrity game model to bring out his brand. So in other words, as a baseball college recruiting coordinator, he does things really well compared to how some of the others do it, right? Some kids have no guidance, some kids have the wrong guidance, and some kids have my guy. Shout out to Joey Santani, by the way, co-author of Uncommitted, an integrity game story. So now, like, I've got stories in my head. I have an integrity game story for real estate broker. I have an integrity game
Oh,
story
wow.
for estate planning attorney, right? And it's using the parable. So check this formula out. If any of your listeners have a book inside of them, want to associate themselves with integrity, want to be handheld by a 7-time self-published author, 3-time bestseller, blah, 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 right? It's this. We get all of your competitive advantages out, all the things you do better than everybody else, all the things you do different than everybody else. We get all the frequently asked questions out, frequently asked questions in your industry or your service vertical, right? Then we make another list of how everybody else out there is doing it poorly, right?
Mhm.
And now we've got all these ingredients of a brand promise and an industry and right, and then we infuse them into characters, and we find a mentor and a mentee and a context, and somewhere along the line, somebody struggling is going to find somebody that understands the integrity game. Somebody's going to learn how to play the integrity game. It's going to change their life by the end of the book, and we'll go on the transformation. But the book will introduce the 10 points on the integrity game model, and when it does, it'll also bring out the FAQs, the competitive advantages, the things to avoid in the industry, and then I get to bring out the brand of my co-author, associate them with integrity, and then have a piece that will differentiate them from all the other brokers or agents or advisors, because they've got a book now, so they can do speaking gigs and be on panels and get on podcasts and do other things, because that book is a credibility piece when you want to use public speaking to advance your career. And if the word integrity is in the book, right, you're associating yourself with integrity, you're getting the support. Most people die with a book inside of them, having not published it, etc. So
Yeah.
there's a formula now. So that's one answer to the question. And I got intellectual property. So now, instead of just selling a coaching program, I can sell a license or a certification. I can train
Nice.
people in the integrity game keynote. I can certify people in our coaching methodology. I can train people on how to be an integrity game certified trainer to go in and deliver the 3-hour workshop. And so now I can scale to get a team of independent contractors that are trained. If they don't want to build their own brand, they want to plug into the integrity game, I've got it built. But you see me wearing this founders branded gear right now. This is like one of my best clients. I get to take the integrity game inside one of my clients and now deliver at events or in workshops or in community calls. I've got this content piece that's a framework. So it lives on its own, but I could also bring it in. Other people can plug into it and use it. And we're still young. We're still, I have an imagination for what this thing looks like 10, 15 years from now. We're still
Nice.
5 years in.
Absolutely. And how old are your children?
My oldest will be 21 on March 31st of this year. My middle daughter, Abby, she's amazing. She's the co-author of the book Klubeck Snacks. It was 52 of my
Oh,
motivational
nice.
and her journal style responses to my motivational quotes. So last year we did 52 live streams on StreamYard where I would read my quote, she would read her response to it, and we'd talk about it. She's a freshman at Fordham University in New York City right now, 18 years old, young 18. She turned 18 in September. And then our youngest, Brody, he's coming up. He's 13. He's starting to smell and talk back a little bit, but they're great kids. And I'll tell you what, you want to talk about motivation for the integrity game. I mean, I have made parenting mistakes. I've been embarrassed about a lot of my behaviors as a parent. I can forgive myself and, that's okay, Jeff. Nobody's perfect. But being a great dad is one of the most important things in the world to me. And I've failed so many times. So there's so many instances that I regret. And the integrity game is part of my commitment to being somebody my kids are proud of.
No better reason to be dedicated to something than your children, right?
Yeah, I want them to be proud of me. I want my kids to be like, instead of, dad, whatever, dad. I want them to be like, hey, my dad knows his stuff. My dad. People pay my dad thousands of dollars to talk to my dad.
And they stand up a little higher when they say my
dad. Yeah. There's been plenty of instances where they've wanted nothing to do with me. And so, to my children, if they ever see a recording of this, I'm so sorry. In addition to all the other times and ways I've apologized. Wow. We're imperfect and parenting is tough. And get ready. Don't take your time, but when anyway, you understand what I'm getting at. So I want more in my life. I want to live a life of greater integrity. I want to know that I'm pursuing my potential, that I'm celebrating and optimizing my gifts, that I have the courage to declare my vision, my mission, my objectives. I have the discipline to set quarterly goals. I have the advising and the wherewithal to select strategy matched to my behavioral style. I want to be careful with my word and manage my expectations that I set for self and others. These are ways that I want to live every day. right?
Yeah.
And there's other points on the model that I haven't summarized for you, but yeah.
Yeah, but very noble cause. That's what I have to say. And I know we're almost out of time, but you are fascinating. You're absolutely fascinating. And I love integrity. You know, it's very important to me, always has been. Don't even know why, but it's just something maybe we're born with. But this has been a great conversation. And I'm very, very honored that you came on as a guest.
Yeah, well, likewise, the honoring is mutual. I'm happy to be here. You're a lovely host, and if you feel that we didn't scratch all of the itch and you want to have me back sometimes, it would be lovely.
Yeah, we will definitely do that. So I'm going to say to my audience that if you want to get a hold of this amazing gentleman, go to his description and there's links that you can get to him. And I would say do it. I would say do it. This has been a fascinating conversation for me, and I know there's so much more inside of him. So Jeffrey, thank you for coming on today. It's been an absolute pleasure, and we will talk soon.
All right, wonderful, Nicole. Thank you.
Thank you.